everyone. It's so great to have you all with us today. And today we are going to start with introduction to Python. So in the beginning, we will start with what actually is Python. Python is nothing but a high level open source programming language which is quite easy to work with, and that's why so many people are preferring it over other languages such as Java and C++ these days. Coming to the history of Python, you might wonder that where did the name Python come from? No, you're wrong if you're thinking that it came from the snake. No, it's not that. Actually, the author of Python is a big fan of British comedy movie called as Monty Python's Flying Circus, and that's what motivated him to name this programming language Python. Quite fun to know, right? Also, I would like to add that there have been several versions of Python, like Python 1, Python 2, and Python 3. And in this series, we will be talking more about Python 3. Continuing, you might wonder who can actually learn Python, and let me clear it out for all of you. There are no prerequisites to learn Python. We are starting from scratch and it's very easy to learn. So don't hesitate and let's get on into learning Python. If you want to know that why we should learn Python, I would like to tell you that Python has wide variety of uses, be it data science, machine learning, web scraping, or object oriented programming. We can use it anywhere. And these wide variety of uses come from the libraries like NumPy and Pandas, which are built into it. Here you can see we have written the applications of Python. Now you might want to install Python if you haven't installed it earlier, and here the steps are given and you can read them and they will help you. Further on, we are going to talk about some basic Python syntax. So if you have ever started to learn any other programming language, you would be knowing that we always start with printing hello world. Like it's the ritual whenever you start programming. So in Python also, we'll start with printing hello world. It's quite simple. All you need to do is write print, parenthesis, and hello world in inverted commas. Inverted commas here are necessary because hello world is a string that we need to print, and the parentheses are also necessary in Python 3. And you can see here it will print out hello world. Quite interesting, right? And just remember that print is a function and not a statement. You can also print numbers and you can also do operations in the print function. It's not only limited to strings. We'll continue to talk about value initialization. Now, in other programming languages, before you use a variable, you first initialize it by writing the type of it. But in Python, you don't need to do that. And that makes it so much more convenient. All you need to do is write the name of the variable equal to and then what you want to save in the variable. For example, I want to save apple in my variable y, so I straight away write y is equal to apple and I keep apple in inverted commas to tell my Python program that it's a string. Now here I would like to add another thing, that there is no constraint on using single or double inverted commas. You can use either and that would work perfectly. You can see some examples here. We'll continue to talk about casting now. So, for example, there's a 3 written and that 3 is in inverted commas. That implies that that 3 is a string and not a number, which means that you can't perform mathematical operations on it. Like if you write 3 plus 5 over there, so it won't print out correctly because that 3 is a string. So we would need to convert it into an integer to use it for that purpose. And for that, we'll use typecasting. You can see the syntax over here. If I need to convert the string 3 into an integer, I just write int followed by parenthesis and 3 in it. And then y, which is the variable in which I stored it, would have an integer 3 and not a string 3. I hope that's clear with you. You can check the type of any variable by writing type and writing the variable name in the parentheses. That makes it quite convenient and we can recheck it easily. Now, it shouldn't be a one-way communication when you are programming. You would always want the user to interact with the program. You would always want to take input from the user because that's what makes a program better. So for that, we use the input command. Input is a built-in function and that reads a line from the input. For example, I want to check that if a user is eligible to vote or not. So I will first ask the user to input their age. Now, remember, this is a very important point, so listen carefully. Whenever you write input, first you can write a prompt in the parenthesis, like enter your age in the parenthesis. You don't need to use the print command separately for that. And if you say that in a variable x, suppose, it would be saved as a string. That means that the input command takes the input as a string format, even if it is a number. So what would you need to do to convert it into an integer? Yes, you are right. You would have to typecast it like we discussed earlier. You can see the example for that here. You can see here that we have to typecast it. Now, furthermore, we'll go on to talk about comments. Comments are an essential part of a good program. They help a program become more readable. In many a times in professional world, it's not only you who would be reading your program. You would collaborate with others as well. And if you don't put in comments, there's a high chance that your teammate might not be able to understand what a variable or what a line signifies. So a comment is a thing that the Python program ignores, and it is just for making it more readable. We can write a single line comment by writing hashtag and the comment followed by it, and Python ignores that line. And to write a multiple line comment, we need to use triple inverted commas and then the multiple lines and then close these triple inverted commas. Quite convenient, right? And please keep this in consideration that it's an essential part of any good program. So do comment your program always, make it a habit. Now we'll come to a very important topic, which is Python identifiers. So identifier is the name given to a variable, class, module, function, or any other object that you declare. And you need to understand that there are some rules attached to the name that you provided. The first and the foremost rule is that it should either begin with an alphabet or an underscore, and they can include letters, digits, or underscores only, and no other special characters. Spaces are also not allowed and they are case sensitive. For example, if you write capital cat and saves a number in it, and if you write small cat and you save a number in it, those two will be separate variables. Please keep that in mind, else you will come up with errors. Another thing that you need to remember is that Python has some reserved words which you can't use as identifiers, else Python will be confused as to if you are calling it as a variable or as a reserved word. And here is the whole list of reserved words given. You can go through them in your free time, and please try to memorize them so that you can avoid any errors. I hope you found this session informative.